Hi everyone, Oskar Świerat here. On today's stream, we talked about getting a technical artist job in the industry. So this image is my list of typical duties when a technical artist is working with a particular department. And it doesn't mean you have to know all of that. Absolutely no. So what I did on the stream was browsing tech art offers, job offers, and from these advertisements, we took the most important points and put them here as a tick box. And a small announcement or update before we go further about the channel is that I decided to go back, as you can see, to the shorter format of the videos, in which I will talk about what we did on the stream. So this one is around 20 minutes, right? And the full long streams will be on my Patreon, which I just set up. So patreon.com/techart8. And if you can support me or not, I'll be super grateful. If not, no problem, because I will publish these streams anyway after some time. So after a few weeks, it will be on YouTube, but if you can support the channel, I'd appreciate that. Okay, so let's go. So for example, whenever they require you preparing sample assets, there is a tick. Maybe finding ways to make the content easier and better, a tick. Most important thing, making tools, like totally. And the next thing, equally important, education. So teaching other departments, arts departments how to do stuff, documenting tools, helping with problems, communicating what the graphics engineer said to artists and vice versa. So I think this was a very fun exercise, and I'd like to introduce you to my new Patreon. I have it here. So I thought it would be cool if there would be some way to support the channel, but at the same time that it's not a paywall, okay? So I made a tier, middle tier and a high tier to get access to the new posts. And this will be recordings from the stream published every week, because I'm streaming every week, most of weeks anyway. So they will go here. But later, for those of you who can support or don't want to, it's perfectly fine. I will just continue to post on YouTube after some time. So if this is something you think will work for you, please go to patreon.com/techart8 and try choosing your tier. If not, everything's normal. And back to the topic, here you can see, for example, Blizzard, you can see Fire Sprite, and what I showed on this on the stream was that there's a ton of work now. Like, this is a prime time to become a technical artist, or to go to a higher position, or to just more interesting place. And many of them offer working remotely, usually within the country, or flexible hours, or hybrid. So the landscape, it's not only wider now, but it's much deeper in terms of how much you can customize your work. So while some AAAs are still rigid, you'll be surprised how some other AAAs became flexible or more open to, for example, smaller teams, but within the company. We found, I don't remember which one, but some of them were like, oh, for example, Mediatonic is a game developer that shows itself kind of like an indie team, like a fun place to work in, while being under the umbrella of Epic and their, stable financing. So on the stream, we discussed this, but also junior roles. So what's the difference between juniors, seniors? What are the expectations? Is profiling something, so optimization, something really locked down to seniors? Not necessarily. I also explained on the example of my own portfolio and my own CV, what I think are the important points when applying to companies. It's not tied to a specific company, it's just in general. I think the tips, especially mention who you want to be or who you already are. Don't necessarily tie yourself to the existing position. For example, you're a beginning graduate 3D artist, but you want to be tech art. If you already did anything tech art related at home, just mention technical artist. That's what you aspire, just the next step. No extreme, no something, outrageous, but next step up. Technical artist, that's what you want to be. If you do something extracurricular, like educating after hours, like being in some organization, mention it. If you have some non-formal education, for example, courses, make the education section and mention that. That's perfectly valid. Just never lie in the CV and never overstretch. Don't do that. True to the actual experience. And one important thing, always do your CV in a selectable, searchable format. One thing is that many companies use automated filtering. So when they see substance, Houdini, C++, when they find the keywords, they can even promote your CV. And that's very important, I'd say. And then another thing is that most leads before the interview would like to print that CV. So have it on white background, not JPEG, not PDF. Sorry, not PSD. Just a proper PDF with text. And what I mentioned at the stream multiple times, contact data. Have a way for them to contact you, because often it's not like they find you on Google, they find your website. They will take your CV and send it to someone over on Slack as a PDF. That's the only thing that they will have. So for example, some director will have only this single 2-page PDF. Make sure everything is there. Don't overdo it. 2 pages max, and I say it for juniors, 1 page max, but all the important information. And they often say stuff like desired qualifications, natural curiosity, enthusiasm, experience. So don't be too afraid, but mention everything important about your motivation. So this is what cover letter is for, the email, right? Cover letter doesn't have to be 1 A4 page full of text. It's enough if you put just few sentences, but use them. Use them not to repeat what's in the resume, but say, for example, I've always wanted to work on a mythological Greek RPG. And seeing your advertisement felt like a perfect occasion. So I'm writing to you, and then there's the important part. Tell what you will bring. That's the important part. What you will bring to the company. So I'm writing to you because I believe that my texturing skills can be useful for the type of RPG you are making, and even expanded further if I am given an occasion to learn substance and automation of texturing. Procedural texturing is also what interests me. Stuff like this, about yourself, about your motivation. Also, saying about your expectations is perfectly normal. Both sides have to meet, okay? So just look for the right advertisements. Don't, try to apply to AAA saying you prefer chilled life and constant travel and so on. But if it sounds like, for example, there's work remotely in UK, write it in the cover letter, in the email, that I've applied to you because I'm interested in working from Spain, or no, sorry, for the UK it would be bad advice. I'm interested in working in any city, not tied to a particular place. Or for example, I always wanted to work and live by the seaside. Now seeing this opportunity is open, I would like to join you. Basically, say why. Say what is your vision for yourself, for your work, for your life. And then the most important part, never forget it. What do you bring? That you've seen, for example, they talk about procedural and you thought it's super cool. So you would like to bring your own interest in procedural buildings and then have something in portfolio that shows this stuff. So as an example, I showed my old portfolio from 2014. It was quite chaotic. it had stuff that I thought at the time was super cool because I was so proud that I did these levels. But from the recruiter's eye, that looked like, so why did he make a tube with random texture? So that was, my perception was totally different. So show your best in a very small piece if you don't have time to do something big. So look, for example, at this tree. This tree doesn't look like much, especially now. In 2014, maybe it was better. But this tree made me hireable. I couldn't find work for a long time, and finally I spent 2 weeks making this tree, lighting it nicely, putting a clean presentation, doing wireframe, and showing the textures that they are clean, that I understand albedo. This changed everything. I found a work within a month. So yeah, one piece done well, describing proper keywords that are interesting to employers, compared to, for example, this racing game, which I really like, but it was just Photoshop and Blender. You know. Fortunately for this game, I included something else. With the permission of my employer, I included behind the scenes, and this also changed a lot. This was a frequent conversation starter, because so you don't just did this weird tubes, you did some tool for creating levels. And then I could say, yes, I did so many levels that at the end I decided to use Python and just make a tool for everyone else and for me. And they were like, okay, so now I get what it's about. So, including this behind the scenes and the tiny bit of description changed the perception of this weird racing game for Nintendo, which I really enjoyed making, by the way, at Cubic Games, because the company was cool, I had friends there, and so on. And as I said, whatever you have, keywords, and then having a nice polished little piece that's really finished. That's really complete, good practices, proper texture size, proper UV. It doesn't have to be much, but just have something. Have one thing that really shines. And then you don't have to worry too much about portfolio. It's just proving that there is a certain level that you can reach, that you are not limited at some levels. So yeah, I've also used example of my current website, oskarświe.com, which has a big red button to downloading my resume and states the technology that I use. That's just it. You can also do it on ArtStation, but have it, And in the resume, contact info. So if you're interested in that, go to patreon.com/techartaid, where I have the membership levels, and the mid one and high one give you the early access to the full stream that we did today, full 2-hour stream. So it will be a post here. If you can't do that, of course, I completely understand. Everything then stays as normal. I will publish it after some time, after a few weeks on YouTube, as usual. But if you can afford it to support the channel, I'd be very grateful. And if you can share, then I'd appreciate it too. So thank you and see ya. Cheers.